Right, I'm going to go back to muting everybody and I'm going to get started. You guys can unmute yourselves. If you have a question, just, interrupt, ask, and then just don't forget to remute yourself afterwards. Keep the volume to a minimum. All righty then. Okay, so we're here to do command and DocuSign. So in order to get to command, let me start my screen share. You are going to want to go to the command website, which is agent.kw.com. You're going to want to do this preferably on Chrome and preferably in an incognito or private browsing window. This just helps it to not save cookies and cause little glitches as they continue to update things on command. So once you get to agent.kw, you're going to log in with your MyKW credentials, your username and password, and you should end up on this screen here, the command dashboard page. The first thing that you are going to need to do when you are starting an opportunity is make sure you have a contact, make sure you have your client as a contact in command. To go to contacts, which is this little people, silhouette of people icon here on the left-hand side. And you want to add contact using this blue button over here on the top right. And you can put in contact. Dennis. Contact in here. I don't know off the top of my head, so that'll be it. The most important things to make sure you put are the email and the phone number, as well as their name. You can also tag them. Tags are kind of used for categorizing either people or opportunities. Maybe they're from a certain neighborhood. Maybe you got this contact in a certain location. You can tag them in certain ways. But that is not required. And once you are done, you just create the contact. Sorry, I have to keep moving our pictures around. And the phone number is invalid. I'm just going to cancel that because I don't know his phone number and I don't feel like looking for it. But once you have a contact in there, you'll be able to start an opportunity. And opportunities are found over here on the left-hand side with this little handshake icon. You click that to go to your opportunities dashboard. And when you are ready to start a new opportunity, use the Create Opportunity button towards the top right. So this is the box that will pop up. Your market center will most likely just be defaulted to whatever market center you are, and you won't have the option to change that. If you are an agent who has access to both maybe Richfield and Stamford, you will have the option for both of them here. Just make sure you are selecting the right market center when you're submitting your opportunity or when you're creating your opportunity. So I only have Stamford. If you are on a team, you would be able to select that team from this icon here. It's blocked out for me because I don't have any teams that I'm associated with. The next one is the opportunity type. And this is either listing, buyer, landlord, or tenant. You're going to want to make sure you select the right option here because this will affect which documents are shown as required later on in the documents section. So make sure if you're doing a rental listing that you select landlord, or if you're doing a rental representing a tenant that you select tenant. versus listing and buyer. So we'll just do a buyer. Owner of the opportunity, this is always going to be you. This is the owner of this opportunity, not the owner of the property. So there shouldn't really be an option to change that. Client is where you're going to enter your client, and it pulls from your contacts. So you are going to need to make sure they're a contact first, and as you start typing, it will pop up with your contact's name. If you have a co-buyer, a husband, wife, spouse, whoever, who's also a contact who's also purchasing or selling the property, you can add them here in the co-buyer section. And same thing, they have to be a contact, and you just type in their name and it'll start to autofill. The opportunity name, this can be edited to whatever you like. It defaults to your client's name dash the opportunity type. You can put this however you run your business. As the market center, we would prefer it somewhere in there that you included the property address. So if you wanted to even just do it this way, that's fine. You can edit this though to be whatever you need it to be. So the next thing that you need to fill out, because the only things that need to be filled out have a little red asterisk on them, is the commission rate. And this is going to reflect what you are going to receive. So this is a listing, you're not going to put 6%, you're going to put maybe the 3% that you're receiving on this listing. I'm just going to go 2.5, that's pretty standard here. The budget, you can put, if you want, your client's budget, maybe they're only looking to spend $500,000. But again, that one is not required, but the commission rate is. And the opportunity phase and stage, these represent where you are in this transaction with your client. So, you know, cultivate is just kind of starting a relationship. Appointment, you set an appointment. Active, you're now actively working with this client. And then the stage is kind of like a subcategory within that. So if you're searching, showing you're at negotiations, etc. These again are more for you as the agent to kind of categorize where you are with each of your clients. So you can set those up however you want. And once you're ready, just click the create button and it'll create a new opportunity for you. Here, you'll see it's got the name of the opportunity, whatever we named it is up here. Our contact is right here, and it defaults to this details tab. This is where we're at now. So on the details tab, we do ask that you put the property address here. So right now it's blank, and to the right of the word property, there's this little gray pencil. And if you click that, it'll bring you to this box where it'll make you add the address. And once you select the address, it will autofill the rest of the information. Choose 223 Main Street, New Canaan. And then it auto-filled in the country, it auto-filled in town, state, county, zip, all that stuff. If there is a unit number or apartment number, that's something that you will just need to add in manually. Down here, address line 2, this is unit 2. And then just save it, and it will update your information right here. And then we're ready to go on to the documents, which is this tab right over here. And on the documents tab, it will have all the documents that you may need for the type of transaction that you selected. So this will look different depending on whether you picked a listing or a buyer or landlord or tenant. It will adjust which documents appear. There are also these 3 folders on the side. When you pick a buyer transaction, their consultation, under contract, closed. I think listing is listed, under contract, and closed. And there's different documents in each of these 3 folders. So right now, under consultation, The only things we have are the advisories that that Rick drew up recently, the wire fraud advisory and the property showing consent form. I did just recently put up the most recent one that he sent us, I think, last night. But the majority of the documents for a buyer are going to be here in under contract. So if you go to this folder, you will see exclusive right to represent buyer, the agency disclosure, a purchase agreement. It's asking you to upload a picture of the binder check if there is one, a warranty, etc. And you can just find a list of items that you may need for your transaction. And you would assign them here in order to submit them to the market center. And I will go over that, assigning the documents and submitting them a little bit later. For now, we are going to go and send out documents to a client to get them signed. So in order to do that, I'm sorry?
I have a quick question. What if it's a renewal for a lease, which was procured with your previous agency?
So there's no specific opportunity for renewal. You would just put it down as a rental, depending on, you know, you're representing the tenant and they're renewing it, just do a tenant transaction.
But the buyer broker agreement is under a different agency, and for the renewal, I've never been required to have to, I mean, because that's covered in the first transaction. So I'm not going to have that paperwork.
You know, I'm not sure with the renewal that's coming from, you know, another brokerage, from a prior brokerage. I'm not exactly sure how that works out. I would submit whatever documents that you do have here, and you can always make a note using the add comment section here, or the add comment button, to the compliance department about the transaction. You can say that it's you know, renewal from my prior brokerage. This is all the information that I have, et cetera, et cetera. And you can add reply here for the compliance department to see.
Okay.
So in order to get over to DocuSign to get documents signed, you're going to click this Start a Transaction button. If you have clicked this at least once on a given opportunity, it will say Go to Transaction instead of Start a Transaction, but it is the exact same button. So once you click it, it's going to open a new tab for DocuSign. If you're noticing maybe that it is not opening a new tab automatically, make sure that you don't have any pop-up blockers on, because that will stop it from opening up the DocuSign tab for you. Once you are there, you can just sign into DocuSign. And once you log into DocuSign, it's going to automatically create a new DocuSign room for you for this transaction. And this room is linked with the opportunity that you just created. As you can see, they both have the same name. So this one is associated with that particular opportunity. The first thing that you're going to want to do when you get to DocuSign is go to this Details tab here on the left-hand side. And you're going to want to click the edit button here so that you can start editing some of this information. The information that you put on this page is going to pull onto some of the forms later on, so that you won't have to re-enter the same information multiple times on multiple forms. For now, what it does pull is the names of the clients, the buyers, the sellers. It pulls the agent's name, both you and whoever's on the other side of this deal, as well as the property information. So the first thing you can do is put the property address here. that in, and then on the right-hand side, it starts with seller one, but this whole column is for the people involved. So this is the seller. Keep scrolling, it's got seller two, and it's listing agent two, and then it starts with the buyer's information. This should automatically pull in information from your contact. So I didn't enter this. This was just the information for the contact that I had entered. So that automatically pulled in for me, and it should update as much as you enter into the contact. I do have a buyer two, and it automatically puts me as the buyer's agent on this because I did a buy-side transaction. Again, why it's important to make sure you pick the right transaction type when you're starting the opportunity. The phone number here is always going to default to the office phone number. You can put your own if you want. And for some reason, when it pulls the company for you, it just pulls Stanford and it doesn't pull the full company name. Here is where you can change it to your office name. So for Stanford, it's Keller Williams Prestige Properties. Because this box is going to pull on some of the forms. And if you leave it as Stanford, it's just going to pull it as the realtor being Stanford instead of the realtor being Keller Williams Prestige Properties or Keller Williams Realty, depending on which office you're in. Okay. I'm just going to add a seller in. And then once you're done putting in the property information and the people involved, you can just click the save button in order to save all your changes. Make sure to do that before moving on to the next section or it will not save anything. You'll have to go back and put it in a second time. So once you are done adding the people, you can go over to the documents and you can start adding documents that you want to send out to your client. So in order to do that, once you're in the Documents tab, use the blue plus add button over here on the top right-hand side. And click that, and a drop-down is going to appear, and you're going to pick the one called DocuSign Forms. That's how you grab the forms that Keller Williams has templated for us. If there's anything you wanted to add manually, you could always upload it straight from your computer using that button. But we're going to stick with the forms for now. When you first start it up, you may have a box that asks you to select a provider. That's not necessary. There is an option towards the bottom right of that box that says continue without validation or something to that effect. Since I've already done it, it's not asking me again, but you may have that. And if you do, just remember to click the proceed without validation, which is towards the bottom right of the box. And then you should appear here on this one where it says add DocuSign forms. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to the first of the two drop downs and change this from forms library to forms group. And that will impact what appears on the second drop down for you. And then in the second drop down, and this is going to differ from market center to market center. So if you're in Ridgefield, this may look different than what we have here in the Stanford office. We have these 4 folders, which say buyer docs, landlord docs, listing docs, and tenant docs. And these are folders that house most of the documents you would need for that particular type of transaction. So you can select the one you need. So I chose buyer docs. And then it gives me a whole list of forms that I may need for a buyer side transaction. And I can select which ones I need. So let's see. Exclusive right to represent buyer. Agency and agency explanation. I'm just picking a couple of forms. And once you've selected the ones you want, just click the add button. And then it's going to add them to your room here. Just give it a second to load. So as you can see, it pulled those three forms: agency explanation, the dual designated agency, and the exclusive right to represent forms here. And this is where I can make edits to the forms before I send them out to my client. So you just click on a form and it will open it up for you. And it'll give you a number of boxes that you can make changes to. So here you can see that it already pulled some of the information from my details page. So it pulled my client's name. Had I had a second one, it would have pulled the second buyer's name as well. It pulled the address that I entered there, 123 Main Street, Connecticut. This is where you can edit the terms of the agreements. Maybe this is supposed to be in there. I'm supposed to end there. You can just type in any of these boxes that you need to edit. Most of it's just signatures. And the signatures don't come to the next section. So don't worry about, needing to send this right now to your client. That'll be the next step. So just save and close once you've made any changes that you would make to the document in terms of the text of the document. The same thing for dual designated. Again, it's pulling the information for me, so I don't have to type in all that information. And then the only thing that I would do on this form is, say that I'm a dual agent on this one. It's just signatures after that. Close. And once you are done making any edits that you need to make to the documents and you're ready to get them signed by your clients, you can select the documents you have using this little bubble in the top left-hand corner of each document. And you'll select the documents. You can select one document, you can select 15 documents, however many documents you need to get signed. And once you've selected the ones you want, go up to this bar here and click the DocuSign button, which is the little pen icon. And from there, it's going to automatically bring you to an envelope, which is what is the term DocuSign uses for the documents they're going to send out. You put the documents in an envelope, and then that envelope gets sent to your client. The envelope name, you can change this to whatever you want. We suggest kind of referencing the documents that you are sending out, so that if you have multiple envelopes, you don't get confused by them all saying, please DocuSign, because that's what it defaults to. So maybe I'm going to put is what I'm sending out first. As you can see, it pulled 3 documents for me. This is the envelope. And then in the next section is the add recipients to the envelope section. This is where you're going to put who you are sending this to. So you're going to click this add recipients dropdown, and you're going to click the first option, which is pre-tagged roles. And from there, you're going to get this box, which has a whole list of possible roles that are on these particular forms. You may not need all of the forms. You may only have one buyer. The agency explanation has room for sellers because it's used regardless of which side you're on. You're obviously not going to select those, only the ones that apply to you. So we're going to do our buyer 1 and our buyer agent, which is ourselves. I think. So the drop down on the right hand side where it says recipient next to each role is where you select the person that's associated with that. So our buyer 1 was Georgia. And our buyer's agent was ourselves. So once you've selected all of the roles, check them off and added the names, you can go to the add selected. And it's going to automatically put them here. Buyer one is Georgia, that's the email, buyer agent, me, my email. On the left-hand side, you'll see these numbers. This represents the order in which the individuals are going to receive it. So right now, if we were to send this out, both the buyer and myself as the agent would receive the documents at the same time for signature. Normally, we have our client sign it first, and then we will sign it afterwards. So in that case, you would just change this buyer agent 1 to a 2. And then that means that our client will get it first. And once our client is done signing everything, it will then go to me as the agent to sign, and then it will be completed. Okay. At least for the dual designated, I believe if you need Rick's signature, which the broker's signature, you pick the Keller Williams Realty as the option. And I've not added Rick to this, so Rick doesn't appear here. So I'll just leave it as default, and I will add that information afterwards.
So where you have buyer one, and then you have your email address, and then you say buyer agent, and you have your email address. Wouldn't you want George's email address? So it goes
Yes, yes. Georgia's my dog. So
Oh,
Georgia is
okay.
using my email,
okay.
my personal email address.
Okay.
And me as the buyer's agent is using my KW email address.
Okay,
That's
so
just how I have her in as the contact. That is what is.
But if Georgia had an email address, then Georgia, your dog would.
It would pull directly from your contact.
Okay, great.
In that case, or if it wasn't your client and you were sending it to somebody else, it would pull from whatever you put in the details page under that person. Maybe you're sending it to the listing agent. You would have to just manually add in their name and email, and then it would pull it automatically here.
Okay.
For you. So under Keller Williams Realty, Scott, and we're going to change Rick to 3 because he is the last person to sign any given document. And then from there, we are going to go to the next page using the yellow next button, and that is where you're going to see signature fields and date fields pop up and make any adjustments to them there.
Sam, I have a quick question, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, you showed a couple of forms that were uploaded recently. One was the consent to show, and the other one was about a wire fraud.
Mm-hmm.
My client has seen the house before, you know, all the trouble started with the pandemic, and I did not have him sign anything. Also, the house is empty. You know, it's been empty for a number of months. Do I have to have him sign that form at this point? I mean, if
he's going into the house again, I would have him sign the form. If this was just showings that he's already done in the past and he's never going in until he purchases it, then I don't think it's necessary. But if they're going to be entering the house again, you know, since the forms have come out, I would have him sign the forms.
All right.
It's just for everybody's protection, for your protection, for his protection. So it's better to be safe than sorry in that regard.
All right. So if he goes back in, I'll have him sign it. On the other hand, for the wire fraud, you just said, I think it was uploaded yesterday or today. But anyway,
the new disclosure for the new COVID disclosure was uploaded yesterday. The wire fraud was maybe last week or the week before. I can't remember, a couple weeks ago when Rick created that one.
In any way, I just learned that last night he signed the contract and he's waiting for the seller to sign it. And in the meantime, he sent a wire to his lawyer so that the lawyer would have the money ready when, you know, the sellers sign the contract.
Mhm.
Do I have to do something about that form?
Again, these are forms for everybody's protection. So this is just a form to let your clients know about any possible wire fraud. It doesn't hurt to have them sign it,
Mm-hmm.
especially since money is going to be exchanged in the future, even though it already has, some of it already has exchanged hands via wire now. It's always a good idea to just have your client to sign the form, just so that they understand, you know, all the risks of wire fraud, and you and the brokerage, you know, can't be held accountable for any issues.
I see. All right. Okay. So you suggest I send it in and have them signed, even if it's already done then?
I would just better to be safe than sorry.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So on this page, you'll see this is the dual designated form. It has boxes
Dan?
already. Yes.
Can you just backtrack a bit and say how you got to this section that we are in now? We were before when you had added Rick in, and then
Yeah. So once you've added your people in, on everybody that needs to sign,
right,
there's going to be a button on the top right that says next.
next.
See, this one here says send. It's going to say next when you're on the previous page.
Okay.
And then it'll bring you straight to this page.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So you'll see the boxes here already filled out. You don't have to put them there for signature and a date. And they're color coded. And if you want to see who is assigned to what color, if you use this drop down on the top left and click it, it will let you know which color is associated to which person. So anything that's in yellow is for my client to sign or fill out. Anything that's in blue or green is for me. And then anything that's in purple is for Rick. So, and this changes. So it's not always going to be yellow for your client, blue for you, you know, purple for Rick. It just goes in alphabetical order. So make sure you're just referring to this as you're going, so you know which colors are assigned to which person. So looks like the dual designates. The agency is going here. We have our client signing this form here, and we have Rick's signature and date box appearing right here. So that looks good. And the exclusive right to represent, I'm pretty confident. Looks like I'm gonna have to make an adjustment because it looks like the agent signature box isn't popping up. So I will have to put that into Keller Williams to have them fix that so that the boxes automatically appear. But if for whatever reason you notice that maybe a box isn't appearing where it's supposed to and you need to get this signed, you can always add boxes yourself. So if you switch this on the top to yourself and then use these options on the side here, this is for signature, initials, date, name, text boxes, check boxes, anything you might need. We only just need a signature and a date. So I'm going to select that, and you'll see the blue signature box. And I will put that here. And I'll add myself the date sign box right here. And that's it. It's pretty simple. If for whatever reason you need to add anything to the transaction, just make sure you're adding it under the right person. So make sure you don't put stuff for your client to sign on this line. Just make sure you're watching the color coding. So once you have everything on here and it looks good, everything's ready to be sent to your client. Just reviewing one more time. You can go ahead and click the send button, which is on the top or bottom right of this screen, the yellow send button, and it will automatically send to the first person in line, which was our client. Then it goes to the second person once the first person is finished signing, which is me. And then after that, it'll automatically go to Rick for his signature afterwards. So I'm going to click send, because I know this is not going to actually go to Rick until I sign it, and I won't actually sign it. So once you click send, it's going to bring you back to the DocuSign room under the envelopes tab. So here we're under the envelopes tab, and this is our envelope that we sent out. It says it's waiting for others, and it's got this blue bar on it. If you click into the envelope, you can see what stage the envelope is at. So this one says it's still currently waiting for my buyer, Georgia, to sign it. That's who it's currently with, and the people who are waiting are me and Rick. And we won't receive anything until Georgia signs the document. If you needed to make any changes, maybe you realized that you didn't add something to the form that you needed to before you sent it out, you can always use the correct function to go back to that editing page and edit boxes or things of that nature or recipients. However, it's not going to let you make corrections once somebody has signed the document because it doesn't want you to alter something that has somebody's signature on it already. So that document in the envelope. Once the document has been fully signed by everybody, this will change to completed, and it'll have a green bar on it instead of a blue one. And there will be documents that have been fully signed will automatically transfer to your documents tab here. And they'll appear listed here. And instead of this saying form with blue, it'll say completed and it'll be green, or it'll say signed, I'm sorry, and it'll be green. And that way you know that's the signed version of these forms. These blue versions will stay in here indefinitely. So maybe you had a contract that you pulled in and there were changes to the contract made after everybody signed it and you need people to sign it again. You can pull up that contract with all of the original information in it and then just make edits to it, like maybe the sales price is the only thing that changed and everything else will still be there from last time. And then you can resend it to your client instead of having to add all that information a second time. So once you have documents that have been signed and you're ready to upload them to your MCA, you're going to go back to Command, which should still be the Open tab here, and you're going to go to your opportunity. This is where we were with the checklist, and now we can start adding items to it. You only want to add items here for compliance check that have been fully signed by everybody. So you don't need to upload maybe if you're the listing agent, you have a lead disclosure that's signed by your client, but you haven't sent it to the buyers yet. You don't need to upload the disclosure that only has your client's signature. We're only looking for fully signed documents here. So if you want to add an item, we have an exclusive right to represent the buyer. So we're going to find that on the list, exclusive right, and then you're going to go to the right where it says add a file and click that button. And a box is going to come up and it's going to give you options here. You have manual, DocuSign, and custom folders. Manual is going to search from your computer. That you can upload any document that you didn't get signed through DocuSign. Maybe you got a wet signature or you were still using .loop at the time and it's saved on your computer. You can use manual and then just browse your files to find it. If you did get it signed through DocuSign, though, you can click the DocuSign button. And then it's going to give you a list of documents that are in the documents section of your room. So these are the only 3 documents that we have. These documents will appear if you had a signed version. It would say the same thing, KW612, exclusive right to represent buyer, and then it would say dash signed. And that's how you know that that is the signed version of the form, and that's the one you want to upload. Since I don't have anything signed, I'm just going to show you how to upload the document. You just select the document you want and click assign. And it automatically attaches it here. So our exclusive right to represent buyer. Here's our exclusive right to represent. You can click into this to review the document. etc. And you do the same thing for any of the documents that you have. You can see under the name of each document whether it is required or conditionally required or optional, depending on your market center and which form it is. So the exclusive right to represent is required, agency disclosure is required, purchase agreement is required, a binder check is conditionally required, only if KW is holding the funds do we need a picture of the binder check. And again, these may look different depending on whether you're in the Stanford Market Center or the Richfield Market Center, because your MCA is the one that set up these forms and the order that they go in and everything. Conditional form, it's dual designated. Designated. Once you sign it. Once you have your documents up, and you don't necessarily need to have all of the documents up, you can submit it to your market center. So this will go to your MCA, and they'll be able to review it for compliance. It's the same thing as submitting your loop for review on .loop. So you would just click this button. Are you sure you want to submit this for review? And you can click submit. And then it will change to submitted status. And you're just waiting for your MCA to review it for compliance to see if everything's good, signatures are there, et cetera, et cetera. If there was anything that maybe wasn't on this list of documents that you wanted to add, maybe you had something miscellaneous, you can go to this add item button here. And then you can upload whatever document you have. It makes you name it, makes you pick a type of document. If it doesn't fall into one of these categories, the last is just other. And then you can upload a document for your computer and you can assign it. And once you assign any document that's not on the list, it goes to the very bottom of your list. So don't be worried if you don't see it at the top, it goes straight to the bottom of the list. Let's see, basics. When you are receiving compliance feedback from your MCA, each of your individual items that you've had will change. So this says uploaded now. If you check back later on, this will either be approved or returned, in which case if it's returned, there should be a little note, there should be a little text box here that you can hover over, and it will actually tell you what your MCA said was wrong with that particular document. If it's approved, obviously you can just let it go, that means it was good. And then you can make any changes, you can replace this document with the correct one, with maybe the signatures on it. If there's anything that you need to say to your MCA, you use the add comment button here. And it'll open up this chat box. And from here, you can write things to your MCA. As you can see up here, it says use an @ symbol to mention an individual. If you use the @ symbol, it will actually give whoever you're symboling a notification on command. So Lisa. But you can do that, and then you can add a reply. And by the same token, Lisa can respond in the same way with the little @ symbol and your name. And then you should also get a little notification on your the bell icon here. We'll have a little notification for you saying that, you know, Lisa Katz has said something on your opportunity. You should be able to click it to go to your opportunity to view the comment. Those are the very basics of DocuSign. Does anybody have any questions?
Sam, one step after everything was sort of uploaded, everything was in, I was writing things down and I missed. There was one step that you went to and then you clicked on assign. What step was that?
Oh, when you're adding a document here. So yeah, so
Well, you sort of went down, you had something and then it said assign and then you clicked on assign and I missed that section.
was it the like adding a custom item? So if you have
Could have been,
something
yeah, add a
that's
nine.
not on this checklist that you want
Sure.
to add, use this
Does-
add item button here.
Okay, and that's like if you forgot a document and now you need to.
Well, that's just if there's something that's not on this, that's not listed as a document you may need on this transaction. I know sometimes
Oh.
people, their clients maybe write letters to the owner of a house and they want to put that on. I've seen them on Dotloop that they want to put them up on Dotloop. If you want to put that here, that's not a line item we need. So you could
Okay,
make your own possible.
just so you have all of that in a folder possibly.
Yes,
right?
exactly. And it makes you have to name it. It makes you pick a type, but you can pick other, which is the last option. And then you can just search your computer for it and upload it. And then click save, and it will automatically go to the
Okay.
bottom of your checklist here.
And then where was that assign button that you click on? What step was
For
that?
that one, I think it says save. Is it save? Yeah, it says, yeah, this
Well,
one
there
just
was
says
one
save.
button that you clicked, which was assign.
So if you were uploading a document that is on the list, like the agency disclosure,
Yeah,
you click on the item to the side, find the item. If it's in DocuSign, use the DocuSign tab. I have agency explanation, and then click assign here. So if you have an item that is on this list, it'll say assign. If you have something that's not on this list that you need to add, then it's going to say save. I
okay,
don't know
well,
why it says different
if it's
things.
on this list, hasn't it already been assigned?
This list here is just a list of documents that you may need. You have to add each item
Oh,
to
to your
the checklist yourself under
to
the
your
appropriate item.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Does
Dan,
anybody? Yep.
Can you go over again what you talked about in terms of the statuses there on the column, the possible different options, statuses?
Yes, this is, so once you've submitted your checklist or your documents for review using the submit to MC button, and your MCA has reviewed them, this status will change from uploaded once it's been reviewed to, it'll either be approved, which means it was fine, or it will be returned, which means there was some issue with it, and that you need to fix. If it's returned, you should also get a little, there should be like a little text box here, a little like text bubble icon that you would be able to hover over, like kind of like this icon here. It would appear here, and if you hover over it, it'll tell you what your MCA said was wrong with the document. Maybe it was missing a signature, or some part of it wasn't filled out properly. Those notes will appear there. If it was returned. If it was approved, then there's going to be no box there. And if there's anything you need to say to your MCA, you can always use the add comment box or buttons. And this is kind of your chat window between you and whoever's doing compliance in your office.
Sam, under the purchase agreement here, the actual purchase price of the home went down after inspections were done. The seller agreed to a reduction in the sale of, the cost of the home.
Okay.
Do I upload the contract? I mean, because the numbers are going to be different.
Yeah, so if there is a change, to the purchase agreement or any forms, I would upload those updated versions to Command. I would just replace whatever you have, and then I would put in whatever the new document is. So yes, if there's a new purchase agreement on a contract or something, then I would upload that to Command.
All right, so this purchase agreement, then I would have to have it resubmitted or new signatures.
Well, I'm assuming there was they've already signed. I'm confused. So they did not sign a new agreement saying that there was a new price?
No. Well, the initial purchase agreement said the house was being sold for 448.5, and now it went down 12,500. The contract is reflecting, you know, the new price, obviously, but do I need to do something about that purchase agreement also, or?
I mean, I would say if there's a new price, then people should be signing it unless you have maybe a version where they, you know, crossed out the sales price and initialed it. Other than that, I would assume that you want something that's signed by everybody saying that the price has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you have some sort of letter or addendum or something like that that you have that's, you know, signed by both parties saying that it's the sales price has been changed, you could always do that instead of uploading a brand new purchase agreement. You could always have something else. That's
Yeah, the contract. How about if I upload the, right? How about if I upload the contract that shows?
Yeah, if you have the fully executed contract with the right, you know, prices on it, then yeah, you can upload that in place of the purchase agreement that you already have, or in addition to it if you like.
I probably missed this, but if you want to reorder the documents, like,
All right,
you know, like
I understand. All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Roberto. Sorry, Lori, what were you saying?
if you want to reorder the items, like you want to archive something, like an old, you've rewritten an offer and you want the old one to be archived down, is that over on the right-hand side? I probably missed this.
Okay, so if you submitted like an old offer and you had a new offer,
Yeah, or any, yeah.
you could just replace the document that you have. So if you use the ... you'll see an option where you can replace. So you can replace that one, or if you wanted to still have a record of maybe the old one, you would just add that item as its own. You would add it as its own item that's not on the list, and then it would go to the bottom, and then you kind of have record of both on there. Only one item can be assigned to each of these, you know, these lines. So if you want a record of both, you would just add a custom item. If you don't care if the other one isn't on there anymore, you can just replace it with your new item.
So it's not as easy as dot loop, just like archiving it down or replacing, reordering.
No, there's no archiving, I don't think, on this side of it, on the checklist, no, because this is just what you're submitting for compliance. Whereas dot loop was kind of everything all in one. Command and DocuSign are all kind of their own separate fields. So, you know, DocuSign's for signature, Command is for compliance. So it's a little bit different than how dot loop has it set up.
Okay,
Sam,
thanks.
Sam, if you're ready to submit, how do you activate that button?
I'm sorry, what, the submit button?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It'll only activate once you have at least one document here.
Okay.
So if you have an empty, you know, list of documents, you haven't uploaded anything, it's going to be grayed out. It won't let you. Once you put one document in, then you can submit.
Okay. So in other words, you're ready to submit those two that I'm looking at right now.
I've submitted them. That's
Oh, okay.
why it already comes up as submitted.
Oh, got it.
Grayed out because I can't
Okay.
resubmit
Okay.
it. I can continue to add documents to this even after it's been submitted. That's fine. My MCA is still going to get them.
Okay.
But it just doesn't let you click the submit button a second time. It's already gone to submitted status.
Okay. I missed that. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Just going back, Sam, on, you know, when you were adding people, the buyers on it. If you have two buyers, you just, instead of putting one buyer, you just add that other buyer also, right?
Yeah, that's all you would do.
Start the process.
Yep. So you would just.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I always have an issue, like when it goes to them to sign, a couple times they said they weren't seeing the places to sign.
So you just want to make sure that all the boxes are in the right spots before you send it out. Just make sure you review the document. So when you went to recipients and pre-tagged roles, you would select buyer 1 and buyer 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could select the names. Adonis is a client.
So our name is automatically there already, right?
Yep, your name will automatically appear there because you're the owner of this opportunity and this room. So your information pulls. Your contacts information should also pull. So if you had 2 buyers, let's say, if you added them as buyer and co-buyer when you started the opportunity, then both of their information should pull automatically, and you won't have to add any information.
And that's always already has to be set up all way back when in the contact.
That's when you first entered the contacts. Yep, and you pulled the contacts. Make sure when you're starting the opportunity. When you're choosing your clients, make sure you put your main client in here, and then you put your co-buyer in or co-seller or whoever in here.
And that's how they're gonna be signing number 1 and number 2, like a husband and wife, correct?
You can make adjustments to the order that they're signing. So maybe you have, Georgia as your client and Jonathan as your co-seller when you create the opportunity. But maybe you want Jonathan to be the one to sign first. You just adjust the order here.
Oh, okay.
So maybe even though he's buyer 2, maybe I needed him to sign this first. So you leave him as 1 and put this person as 2.
Okay.
Just note that a lot of the fields for filling out, actually with writing on a document, are assigned to the first buyer only. So you generally want to send the stuff to buyer 1 first, because if there's anything that they need to fill out, like on a disclosure or something, buyer 1's going to have the ability to fill out that disclosure. Buyer 2 is going to only have the ability to sign and initial and date that disclosure.
Right.
So you don't want to send it to the second person first, and then they're signing a blank document, and then buyer 1 goes and fills everything out.
Right. So if that happens, we have to redo the whole thing again. Redo the form, because once they sign, we can't go back and change anything on it, right?
No, it becomes a PDF once their signatures are on it. It becomes a PDF, so you can't change it. You would have to resend them something. If you do notice that you did something wrong before they sign, though, you can make a correction to it by entering the envelope in the envelopes tab and using the correct button, and then maybe you can go in and switch the order before they've actually signed it. It just won't let you make the changes after someone's already signed.
Right. Okay. So pick up on that before. That's why you need to call and find out.
Make sure, whoever's going to be the one to fill it out should be your first client, buyer 1 or seller 1, whoever's going to do the filling out. And again, that only applies to forms that actually have something to fill out, like disclosures. It doesn't apply to necessarily the exclusive right, which really is only looking for their signature or something to that effect. In that case, it's not going to matter who gets it first, because nobody's filling anything out. It's already filled out by you, or the form's already set on its own.
Okay. All right.
Is the price change, or reduction paperwork off the MLS, is that in with the seller package of documents?
I'm not sure. I'd have to go and check to see if it's there. And then the forms also may differ between Ridgefield and Stamford.
Well, it's an MLS form, so it should be the same.
It should, but Keller Williams is the one that pulled these forms over individually for each market center. So there may have been a discrepancy. Let me just add a form, DocuSign form. If you are looking for a particular form, maybe you're looking for a specific MLS form, this is just a tidbit. Instead of changing this to DocuSign Forms Group, if you leave it on Library and then go to the second dropdown, it categorizes everything by the MLS that it's associated with or the office. So that's our proprietary forms. Those are HCAR forms, New York Association of Realtors, and then the Smart MLS forms. So I'm just going to look at Smart MLS forms. You're looking for price change, right?
The listing change form.
Oh, there it is. Sorry. So it is in there, and let me see if it's in. Yeah, so it's already in our listing docs
Great,
folder.
great.
Again,
thanks.
I don't know if these are the same between both market centers, since they were set up individually by the MCAs.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome. That about wraps it up. If anybody has any additional questions, you can always shoot me an email or send me a text or give me a call or however you prefer. For anybody that doesn't know, my email is kw612amca@gmail.com. And my phone number is 203-644-8653. And that is pretty much it. I hope you guys have a good day, and let me know if you guys have any other questions, and I'll be happy to help.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
You.
You're welcome.
Thank you.